This short video is how to subtotal a list or a table in Excel version 2016. Although I'm demonstrating in 2016, these procedures will work in earlier versions of Excel. The first step, and this may be optional, is to remove the total row. You may not have a total row, so therefore you might not have to do it. The next step, and again this is optional, is to convert the table to a range. If the data is not in a formal table, then this step will also not be necessary. Then you will sort on the field or the column you want to subtotal, go to the Data Outline Subtotal command, fill in a short dialog box and click OK. So let's start from the top. Remove the total row. Here I have a database, and I'm not sure if I have a total row or not. I can scroll to the bottom and see, and there isn't one. But let's just say that there were. If there were, you would go to Table Tools Design, and this button right here would be turned on. You would simply turn it off. Step 2, convert the table to a range. Well, this is a formal table. How you know is if you put your cursor anywhere inside the data, you will have a Table Tools Design tab. If that's true, then you have to convert to range. So you'll click the Design tab and you'll choose Convert to Range. You'll get a little dialog box asking if that's okay, and you'll click Yes. Notice now with my cursor in what was a formal table, I no longer have the Table Tools Design button. Step 3, sort on the field you want to subtotal. Well, let's say for example here that we wanted to subtotal the sales or the order amounts by region. So if we're going to break it down by region, I'm assuming we're going to have north, south, east, and west, perhaps not in that order, but they'll be clustered together. So before I subtotal, I have to sort. Put your cursor in the first cell in the column you want to sort on, and then go to your Data tab, and I'll just choose an A to Z sort. So I have east, north, south, and west. Now I'm ready to subtotal. So step 3, we've done sort on the field that you want to subtotal. We're ready now for step 4. Choose Data, Outline, and Subtotal. In the Data tab, over on the right, you'll find a grouping called Outline. If you click the down arrow, you'll see Subtotal. Now, in earlier versions of Excel, Subtotal was just over here to the right. You did not have to go to Outline first. We'll choose Subtotal. This simple dialog box comes up, and we have to fill it in. The first area that we have to fill in is at each change in. Now this is what field you sorted on. Since we sorted on region, at each change in region, we then want to, and then here we pick our function. Typically when you subtotal, you want to sum, although of course you can see that there are other mathematical operations possible. But I want to sum the order amount. So here it asks you add the subtotal to. Now Excel will try to pick one for you, and it rarely picks correctly. So I recommend just turning off whatever choice that Excel made for you and thinking about it. Aren't we subtotaling our order amount? Well, it makes sense that this would be the column where it would appear. So click Order Amount and click OK. So now we have East total, and the total is appearing in the Order Amount column. North, South, and if I scroll down to the bottom, you'll find not only the West total, but then the grand total. Now when you subtotal, you are outlining whether you know it or not. That's what these buttons are on the side. 1, 2, 3. Sometimes there are more. So here's what these buttons mean. 3, which is the default, shows you the individual records. That's one level. It shows you the subtotals. That's a second level. And the third level is the grand total. So 1, 2, 3 is why we're seeing all 3 levels of detail. If we go to 2, suddenly it becomes much less information. We're now showing only 2 levels of detail, which is the individual subtotals, that's 1, and the grand total, that's 2. We have a third option here, button 1. Now we're seeing the very highest level, which is just the grand total. So you can adjust by clicking these buttons to see more or less detail. When you're ready to remove subtotals, you would go to the Data, Outline, Subtotal command, and you would simply click Remove All.